Invincible Season 4. Ass or gas? Fucking gas, baby, let's go!
I choose death!
Now before I get into the theatrics of this season, I need to say this video will be broken up into two parts. The first part will be my opinion on this season and what I thought was good and bad, and the second half of this video will be me addressing people who spoil everything from the comics and the external problems that this season has had to deal with. But let me stop yapping and get into the rating of the Overall, this season was absolutely phenomenal, and I would go as far to say it is the best season yet. We literally had 4 episodes in a row that could pass off as 10 out of 10s. This is almost unheard of in television. Everything was top tier, from the characters, the pacing, the flashback segments, the voice acting, the humor, the action. It is all just a perfect package this season. Every single time I thought they had peaked, the next episode just outdid it. Although I'm going to be mainly talking about the last 4 episodes, I have to give some credit to episode 2 for sort of carrying the first 3 episodes on release. Episode 2 has one of the most interesting flashback segments of any show out there. 5-0 still on top though. Furthermore, its second half is just as good and really sets the tone for season 4. Episode 2 was incredible. If you think I'm sucking the dick out of this season too much, I hate to tell you, I haven't even gotten past the tip yet. Episode 5. This is where the season picked up astronomically. Coming off of one of the weaker episodes in the whole show, Episode 5 proved Season 4 was not playing around. I am not exaggerating when I say Mark vs. Conquest is one of the best rivalries we've ever seen on screen. Literal textbook definition of on-site. Any episode where we get to see Oliver bitch smacked is bound to be a good one, and Episode 5 was definitely a good one. Episode 6 may not be objectively the best episode out of the big 4, but it has to be my favourite. I really enjoy the dynamic between Omni-Man and Oliver this episode. Nolan's character this season has just been flawless, and this episode amplified that. Oliver also shows some great qualities this episode, which he completely diminishes in a later episode. The Coalition of Planets segment was fantastic and really interesting, and all the stories come together in the final 20 minutes of this episode to provide some of the best action this show has seen. My boy Thaddeus had that shit on! I was so fucking hyped watching this episode, I had to take a good 5 minutes to compose myself once the credits started rolling. Holy, it was peak. Episode 7. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's either the second best or the absolute best episode of the show, only competing with the season 1 finale. The proper showcase of Thrag was everything it was meant to be. This boy Thrag terrifies the shit out of me. You're telling me the 2 strongest Viltrumites we know couldn't even stain his clothes? He punched Omni-Man so hard he manipulated the wind particles around him. Please nerf him. So yeah, safe to say he was taken clean off the fraud watch with a written apology from everyone. Not me though. I'd never question Thrag's authority for even a second. The destruction of Viltrum was immaculate, and all the fight scenes were perfect. Once again, Oliver got his shit handed to him, immediately putting a smile on my face. I genuinely think Hasbulla versus Prime Mike Tyson is a more fair matchup than this one. So yeah, episode 7, easiest 10 out of 10 of my life. Episode 8. This finale was perfect in my eyes. Everything it needed to be. It wrapped up every storyline that it needed to in such a great way with so many hard-hitting emotional beats. The Cecil and Nolan conversation was well needed and incredibly satisfying, and the talk at the end with Thrag was an absolutely gorgeous way to wrap up this season. Mixing in Mark's very well earned PTSD was a great choice, and the whole conversation highlighted Thrag as the perfect villain for this show. Couldn't have asked for a better finale, and it made me so hyped for what's to come. I do have one question unanswered though. How the fuck did Earth survive for so long without Mark? They went from needing him at every minor inconvenience to not having any issues with him gone for 10 months. If the Lizard League came back, Earth would be looking like Viltrum. Very strange. However, I feel like all the rest of the audience complaints for this episode are coming from what I like to call weekly episode fatigue. This is where you undervalue an episode and think it was underwhelming solely because you had to wait an entire week for it. This is very common, and I've suffered with it myself, and this is why I think weekly episodes should be abolished, but that's a whole other topic for another day. Now, as far as complaints for this whole season go, I don't have many. I still enjoyed episodes 1, 3, and 4, but they were a bit slow and I couldn't really get behind Mark's mental whinging in them. And speaking of that, if I have to watch one more scene of Mark and Eve talking about Mark's feelings, I swear I'm going to fucking lose it. But yeah, that's about what I think. Episodes 1 and 3 are great, episode 2 was absolutely peak, and episode 4 is average, and episodes 5 to 8 might be the best 4 episode run in TV history. But some things can't be perfect, can they? It's time to talk about the things surrounding this season that have been an absolute nightmare. My biggest issue that I'm referring to is the comic dweebs that cannot resist the urge to not spoil every little thing that's coming up in the show. This may come as a shock, but not everyone wants to know what's going to happen before they watch it on screen. If you're disagreeing with me right now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, the entire story is already out in the comics, you can't just expect people not to talk about it. Yeah, I can. Ooh. Because in that logic, every single story should be spoiled to you because at least one person already knows what happens. No, that's just not how it works. If you've watched or read something before another person, you don't just spoil the whole story to them just because it's already out anyways. And that actually brings me to this. 60 to 70% of all television you watch is based on already existing material. Don't believe me? Let me just list some of the notable ones for you. Harry Potter, Project Hail Mary, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, The Witcher, Dune, The Hunger Games, The Boys, The Walking Dead, all of Marvel, all of DC, Jurassic Park, anything with Stephen King, Dexter, and so much more. So you're telling me, when these shows and movies were airing, at the time I had the right to spoil every detail to the people that just wanted to watch the live action iteration and had not read the original source material? No, that would be a cunt move. I'm talking about every story beat in Invincible, the comic fans are ruining it for the show watchers. I'm going to show some examples, so spoiler warning for anyone who doesn't want to know anything. This guy, thanks for your input. Not only did you just spoil a major character death without any prompting, but it didn't even add anything to the story. This guy, you just blurted out completely irrelevant information relating to the video. It doesn't prove a point nor talk about the conversation at hand. My god. And if you look at it like this, the show at minimum is 10 times bigger than the comic. 1 million readers to 10 million. So what gives the 10% the right to spoil it for the other 90%? If the comic readers want to talk about the future of the show that badly, talk about it with other comic readers. Or put a spoiler warning on whatever you're about to say. I'm convinced you guys just do this shit for fun. Okay, now let me talk about a topic where I'm more neutral. The power scaling. Yay, everyone's favorite, least talked about topic. Let's just get it out there. The power scaling is terrible. It's so bad that fans need to come up with things like the adrenaline theory to compensate for the terrible writing choices for their battles. And this is further proved by the creator coming out and saying he doesn't care about power scaling while making a superhero show. Buddy, why don't you just make Debbie kill Thrag then if you don't care about it? How am I meant to take some characters seriously if at any moment they can be beaten by characters way weaker than them? However, it isn't that big of a deal because the writers would just choose a different way for these fights to play out with the same result. It's just lazy what they're doing now, and that's it. Okay, now what about the animation? Everyone's second favorite topic. People just love to complain about everything. And this is coming from a channel that complains about everything. Let me ask you this, and seriously think about it. Would you rather seasons drop yearly with the current animation, or seasons drop every 2 years with better animation? Me personally, I'd much rather yearly releases, and I'm pretty sure the majority would as well. We saw how angry people got with Stranger Things taking 10 years. So, do people not realize Invincible is aiming for 9 seasons in total? That's 18 years! I do not want to be taking care of a child when this show finishes. But yes, I definitely understand the complaints about the animation. On average, it's okay, and some people just drag it, but in some moments, it is very difficult to look past it. However, I have a solution. Let's hire more than 4 animators, how about that? And to the people ready to defend Amazon at every turn, you do realize we actually pay for this, right? You are currently on monthly subscriptions for Primes who watch this show, and they purposely drag the release over multiple months, so we pay more. So why are you trying so hard to defend this multi-billion-dollar company? We have a right to complain for what we want and pay for. Alright, that is Invincible Season 4 being absolutely gas. I'm aware this sounds weird considering I just spent the last 5 minutes complaining, but I'm really happy with this season, and if this is the energy that the rest of the show will bring, I cannot wait. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe, it really helps out, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.